The process used to establish the media relations goals and objectives first really has to be done internally. You've got to subject your own company. The process used to establish the media relations goals and objectives first really has to be done internally. You've got to subject your own company to the same legitimate standards that the press is going to subject it to in the process of covering what you're doing. If somebody at the company is saying, let's do this, won't this be great? And everyone around the table is saying, oh yeah, that's a story, then you're probably kidding yourself. You have to either through your own mechanism or through some outside consultant or firm, sit down and say, well, what happens if we call up a reporter and the reporter says, so what? More often than not, that does happen. And it's really interesting how often companies are sort of drinking their own Kool-Aid and don't want to see a downside or don't want to think that somebody might not be interested in. So the real question is to look internally and saying, is what we're doing really interesting or really newsworthy? Or if a reporter says, so what, you have a comeback. Or are there downsides to your product or service? Have those been addressed? Again, it's not the sort of thing of one message going outward. It's a dialogue back and forth between the company, the reporter, the media channel, and the audience. And if you're not prepared to sort of take a cold look at all of the back and forth and the pluses and the minuses of a freewheeling conversation, you're not going to be prepared to really develop an effective media relations strategy. How is the return calculated? It's the ROI question. Again, it goes back to some of the earlier comments that PR is a little bit more of a qualitative medium than a strictly quantitative medium. Again, you can assign numbers and metrics to anything. I think at the end of the day, the most important thing is to look at results over process. You can plan and you can strategize, but at the end of the day, if the company is talking to themselves or the company is talking to the PR firm and vice versa, that doesn't do it. For a media relations program to be effective, the message has to be picked up externally. There has to be external coverage, and there has to be consistent external coverage. Just because you get a big story on CNN on Tuesday doesn't necessarily mean that everyone will see it on Tuesday or people will remember it by Thursday. So the idea is to have stories appearing on a regular basis on a variety of media, because it is a very big country and it is an increasingly fragmented media environment. So first and foremost, the coverage has to appear. If a story runs on CNN, if the AP picks up something, if there's good traffic being reflected on Technorati or Dig or someplace like that, the results will be self-evident. You will get site traffic, you will get phone calls, you will have a piece of collateral material for your sales force to push out to current clients to retain them or current prospects. So once the coverage appears, how the impact of that coverage, again, will be self-evident. If you want to assign numbers and metrics to it, fine, but I've never run into a situation where coverage hasn't appeared for a client on a consistent basis, and that buzz does not come back to the client in some way, manner, or form. Who is responsible for executing the media strategy? It depends upon how you've got that set up at your company. You might be doing it internally. You might be doing it through an outside PR firm. You might do it with a PR consultant. In some companies, the media relations effort is a subset of marketing.